Hey guys, it's Miss Sweeney. We are going to do a comprehension lesson today for When I Was Young in the Mountains by Cynthia Rylant, and we are going to be focusing on setting today. So before we begin, let's go ahead and listen to the story.
Baby story time! Do you want to read this book with me? Don't forget to click the subscribe button for more. When I Was Young in the Mountains by Cynthia Rylant, illustrated by Diane Good. When I was young in the mountains, Grandfather came home in the evening, covered with the black dust of a coal mine. Only his lips were clean, and he used them to kiss the top of my head. When I was young in the mountains, Grandmother spread the table with hot cornbread, pinto beans, and fried okra. Later in the middle of the night, she walked through the grass with me to the Shawnee house and held my hand in the dark. I promised never to eat more than one serving of okra again. When I was young in the mountains, we walked across the cow pasture and through the woods carrying our towels. The swimming hole was dark and muddy, and we sometimes saw snakes, but we jumped in anyway. On our way home, we stopped at Mr. Crawford's for a mound of white butter. Mr. Crawford and Mrs. Crawford looked alike and always smelled of sweet milk. When I was young in the mountains, we pumped pails of water from the well at the bottom of the hill and heated the water to fill round tin tubs for our baths. Afterward, we stood in front of the old black stove, shivering and giggling, while Grandmother heated cocoa on top. When I was young in the mountains, we went to church in the schoolhouse on Sundays, and sometimes walked with the congregation through the cow pasture to the dark swimming hole for baptisms. My cousin Peter was laid back into the water, and his white shirt stuck to him, and my grandmother cried. When I was young in the mountains, we listened to frogs sing at dusk and awoke to cowbells outside our windows. Sometimes a black snake came in the yard, and my grandmother would threaten it with a hoe. If it did not leave, she used the hoe to kill it. 4 of us once draped a very long snake, dead of course, across our necks for a photograph. When I was young in the mountains, we sat on the porch swing in the evenings, and Grandfather sharpened my pencils with his pocket knife. Grandmother sometimes shelled beans and sometimes braided my hair. The dogs lay around us, and the stars sparkled in the sky. A bobwhite whistled in the forest. Bob! Bob! Bobwhite! When I was young in the mountains, I never wanted to go to the ocean, and I never wanted to go to the desert. I never wanted to go anywhere else in the world, for I was in the mountains, and that was always enough.
All right, so now that we've heard the story, let's talk a little bit about setting. The setting is when and where the story takes place. So that could be maybe it took place near a pond or in the hills, maybe close to coal mines. It's also when the story takes place, so like the time of day, or maybe it was a long time ago, or in the future. The setting is important because it impacts the characters and the plot of the story. So, like what happens in the beginning, middle, and end. Characters have different experiences based on where and when they live, just like us. And so, we're going to talk a little bit about the importance of setting right now. I need you to get 3 pieces of material: your reading notebook, pencil, and crayons. Once you have those 3 things, then I want you to resume the video At this time, you can pause the video to go get your materials. I will continue, and you can come back and finish the video. If you have all of your materials, I want you to open up your reading notebook to your next clean page, and I want you to set your reading notebook up just like mine. I want the date at the top, 9-16-20, the word setting, then the words where I live with some dots and space, where they lived with some dots and space, when I live with dots and space, and when they lived with dots and space. You can pause the video at this time to complete this page and resume the video when you are finished. Now, we're going to look at the very first section, where I live. I want you to think about where you live, your home, your city, your neighborhood. That's the setting for where you live. Those are the places and experiences that impact you right now. So I want you to draw a picture here in this section of where you live, your home, your city, your neighborhood. Go ahead and do that now. You can pause the video and then resume when you're finished. Now I want you to go to the second section, where they lived. And I want you to think about where they lived in the book, When I Was Young in the Mountains. The mountains, the log cabin, they were kind of alone from others. There wasn't a whole lot of neighbors. So I want you in this section where they lived to draw a picture of the setting of where they lived in When I Was Young in the Mountains. You can pause the video at this time and complete your drawing and come back when you're finished. Next, I want you to go to the third section, and I want you to think about when you live. So like for us, we live in the year 2020. I want you to think about the things you do for fun and the kind of activities that you participate in. I want you to maybe write those things down, or you could even draw a picture in this third section. All of those things make a difference in how you live your life every day and the experiences that you have. Last, I want you to go to the last section, when they lived. And I want you to think about when they lived from in the mountains. What year was it? We know it was probably a long time ago. What did they do for fun? Well, we know that they played outside a lot. We know that they went into town to the, shop and walked around to get their, items for home. We know that they helped chop wood. So I want you to think about the things that they did and they participated in the book, When I Was Young in the Mountains. And I want you to write that here, or you could even draw a picture. You can pause the video at this time and come back when you're done. So, now that you have all 4 sections completed, you should be able to see the difference between us and where we live and what we do in this time and age, 2020, compared to our characters in the setting of where they lived and the things that they did where they lived, and how that is a difference in the things that happen in the story for the 2 characters When I Was Young in the Mountains. Setting makes an impact on the experiences of the characters and what they're going through in the book. Now, for fun, if you would like to, you can pause the video and you can enjoy a directed drawing from this story setting, and you will end up with a nice, beautiful picture of the mountains. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's lesson, and I will talk to you later. Bye, guys.